Welcome to Il Violinista. I'm Giuseppe and today I'm going to guide you through one of the most essential skills for every violinist, which is tuning your violin properly. Your violin needs to be always in tune, okay? So I strongly recommend, if you just purchased your violin, to get it put in tune weekly by your shop, and this might be going on for a while. It takes a lot of courage and patience to actually tune the violin by yourself. It's a very delicate instrument, and it's okay if you need some months to familiarize yourself with the violin. Okay, so all these operations that I'm going to indicate, I suggest that you sit down with the violin between your legs, and so it's harder to accidentally slip because you're in a weird position. But if you've got it between your legs, it's nice and tight and you can slowly adjust. Okay, so understand first of all, so to tune your violin, you've got some pegs which are the top of the violin here, and for big movements, and then you've got these little fine tuners, which are at the end of your violin, like little screws. So the finer tuners are called that way because they allow these little fine and very small changes of pitch. So you'll be using a little screw here, okay? And both are necessary for tuning your violin. And the standard pitch to which you tune your violin is 440 Hertz, okay? 440 Hz. So that's just a quick fun fact. And the Hertz is a unit that is used to measure frequency. So basically how many times a second these waves vibrate. So if I have, for example, my A string, 440 Hertz means basically that the string is vibrating 440 times per second, okay? End of the fun facts. Okay, so every string has a different Hertz reading. So obviously you need to know your strings, so G, D, A, E, and you need to know how to tune that string on your little tuner mechanism. So on the G string you will see appear G3, okay, which is the lowest string. On the D string you'll see appear D4, on the A string you'll see appear A4, and on the E string you'll see appear E5, okay? G3, D4, A4, E5. So that's what you'll see on your tuner as you tune each string. So write them down so that you don't have to search for them every time, because otherwise you get all these strange letters. So first of all, then you want to start with your A string, because that's your reference string. Always start tuning with the A string. So use a clip-on tuner or tuning app, and the tuner will display A4 when the string is incorrect. Even in the orchestra, it's always the A string the first violin gives to everybody, and they all tune their instrument on the A, okay? So I use a free app which is called Tuner Lite, and of course I'll show you all about it here. It's completely free. So basically the app, you turn on the app and it'll start listening to your microphone. So there's a little stick symbol, a little diapason. You want to make sure that's clicked and it's set at 440 on the screen. So if it's not 440 Hertz on the A, then you need to calibrate it with two little arrows. So, and once you do that on the app, you don't need to do that generally again, or you probably never need to do it, but just to make sure that everything is fine. So play the string that you want to tune, which is G, D, A or E, and you have this needle that will start moving, okay, one way or the other. And of course it will detect the pitch of what you're playing, and it will go to G3, D4, A4 or E5. And so the needle in the middle, what is that needle going? So basically if the pitch, if it's going to the right, it means it's too sharp, so the pitch is too high, and so you need to basically adjust anti-clockwise with your fine tuners. If the needle is to the left, it means the sound is too flat, so it's too low pitch. You need to tighten the string slightly, or clockwise with your fine tuner. So the fine tuner basically is using the tailpiece tuners first, then the peg only if it's necessary. So check the tuner reading. It should display those correct notes, G3, D4, A4 and E5. And it's not very easy, I know, it's a bit of a process, okay? So use the fine tuners only for little adjustments, and use the pegs for bigger changes. Okay, so clockwise tightens the string and raises the pitch, and counterclockwise loosens and lowers the pitch, okay? And only use the pegs at the scroll if a string is far off pitch. Push gently into the peg while turning to prevent slipping, okay? Don't press too much either, because it's really hard to adjust. So basically start with the A string, get that A4, and then start tuning the D, and you'll need to see D4, G, G3, and then E, E5. And then after you tune all the strings, check again each one by one, because once you start adjusting some others get slightly out of tune. So I know it's a bit of a process. So the common questions I get asked is, can I tune by ear? Definitely you can. So you tune the A string and then you start playing fifths. You start playing 2 strings at once. After a while, this is a more advanced technique, and you'll hear the fifths if you hear the beats, whoa, 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 or not. I talk about this in the academy, but you definitely need to get the A somehow, somewhere. So it needs to be, the A needs to be given in tune. Another question I get asked is, why do my strings often get go flat? And that's because of the temperature, the humidity, where you're playing, not closing your case, all those types of things. So also your strings, they can take a lot of time to stabilize. Like my gut strings, for example, they took 3 days to stabilize. So when you change strings, they tend to take a bit of time to stabilize, and they keep on stretching. If your pegs keep on slipping, also you can buy a little compound. There's some little drops that you can put in the holes, and so that the pegs don't slip. Try not to over tight too much, because if you over tight too much, the string can only take so much tension and then it will break. Okay, but that's part of learning. I've broken a few strings, and you will as well, so try to always have some spares. So in terms of key habits to remember, tune every time you play, because the pitch changes otherwise, and your fingers, you'll start noticing that you'll start putting your fingers in the wrong place because you're trying to readapt. The violin needs to be in tune. So I know this can be a little bit overwhelming. I didn't start tuning my violin until after 2 years that I had the violin, because I was just too worried. I didn't know what to do exactly, and I was just looking at my professor constantly, and then I broke also a few strings, and that can be disappointing. Make sure you have also a set of cheaper strings that you can go in your case, and at least you can keep on going for the day, otherwise you have to order the strings. So I hope this has been of help, and until next time, practice slowly and alegria. Okay, ciao ciao.